Thank you for being here today. This is a wonderful day in the history of our county. My name is Kevin Corbin. I am your representative in the North Carolina House of Representatives, and I'm proud to serve in that capacity. We have Miss Grace Johnson. Is Grace here? Is going to bring our invocation? Okay, Grace, there you are.
Bow with me, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we are so grateful that we can meet together under clear blue skies and fresh air, so unlike last year. We thank you for this special blessing. We've gathered together today to honor our brave military veterans and active duty and reserve personnel. We honor these men and women currently serving in Iraq and Afghanistan, in many other countries, and in some places that most American citizens are not even aware of. We ask your divine guidance and protection for each one. Father God, we remember those veterans who continue to bear the lingering physical and emotional wounds of war, and we ask you to intercede for them. We thank you for the many family members, friends, and health and social organizations that continue to serve them, and ask your blessing on them as well. We thank you, dear Lord, for all the young people who are participating in this ceremony of recognition today, and we pray that they will never forget to revere.
Thank you, Grace. We'd like to recognize some of our dignitaries that are here today. We have Commissioner Ronnie Beal, who's the Vice Chairman of our Board of County Commissioners. Ronnie, glad to have you. Also have Gary Shields, who was on the program over there earlier. Gary's one of our county commissioners, and also Paul Higdon is back here. Paul, wave at us. Paul's one of our county commissioners. Glad to have him. We have, I saw two of our town council members, I believe. Barbara McCrae is here, and Joe Collins. Not sure where Joe is, but he is here today. And appreciate you guys. And who's that? Oh, Carl Gillespie is one of our county commissioners. Carl, glad to have you. And Mayor Bob Scott. Appreciate you being here. And last but not least, we have the majority whip of the North Carolina House of Representatives, and the guy that's become a very good friend of mine. He's from Guilford County, and he understands now that Hickory is not in the western part of the state. You got that, right? You got to bring these guys out here. So you understand? You know what I'm doing, don't you? So this is John Hardister, Majority Whip of the North Carolina House. Glad to have you, John. I'm going to take him to Murphy next so he knows where the western part of the state is. We'd like to recognize now the Daughters of the American Revolution, and they're going to come make a few statements. I think we have Vicki Baker is going to come. Welcome.
Oh, this is a great honor to be here today on a very special occasion. I come representing our Battle of Sugartown chapter of the National Society Daughters of the American Revolution. Our chapter is located here in Franklin, and some of you may be aware of so many of the things that we do. Back in the 1890s, there was a group of ladies who felt it was important to start honoring and remembering the original veterans of our country, those men and women who fought for the freedom of our country during the time of the Revolutionary War. All of us that are in the chapter are able to trace our own heritage back to one of those original veterans, and it's such an honor. Every September, a lot of the school children may be aware of the fact that on September the 17th, which is Constitution Day for our nation, we go into the schools, we take little pocket constitutions in for the students, and we do special presentations for Constitution Day. So it's wonderful to be here today and be a part of this presentation with these very historic documents that are so meaningful to our country. Thank you.
Thank you, Vicki. Give you just a little bit of history. Last September, Commissioner Gary Shields went and visited with these folks that do the Charters of Freedom monuments, like you see in front of you today. And Gary and this group brought this to the county commissioners, and I was proud to have been chairman of the county commissioners back last October when we voted to do this. And these guys came and did what you see before you today. So I want to thank Gary, especially for getting the ball rolling on this. Mr. Vance Patterson is with us, and Vance is with the Charters of Freedom, and he's going to give you a brief history of the Charters of Freedom and how this came to be. So welcome, Mr. Vance Patterson.
Foundation Forward has a special recognition. We're going to do it this time. It's for Gold Star Father Master Sergeant Cliff Smith, U.S. Air Force, retired after 22 years of service. He's with us today. Mr. Smith is right over here. Mr. Smith is a Gold Star Father of Army Captain Kevin Smith. Captain Kevin Smith graduated from the United States Military Academy, West Point, in 2003. On December 8, 2005, while commanding a security convoy by leading civilians and troops to the Baghdad electric plant in Iraq, Captain Smith's Humvee was destroyed by an enemy remote-controlled IED. Captain Smith was killed, and the others in the vehicle with him were severely wounded. On that tragic day, Captain Smith was 28 years old and was only 40 days from coming home to be married. All the freedoms and liberties we relish are from all who have served in all branches of the military. All gave some, and some gave all, like Captain Smith and others. On this Veterans Day, November 11th, 2017, let us remember all. Thank you all for being here today. This is really awesome that you're here for this historic dedication. And as I understand, this is quite an improvement on the weather over last year, so thank you for that also. My name is Vance Patterson. I'm a neighbor of yours from down in Burke County. I'm a father of 4, married 43 years to my wife, Mary Jo. I am a businessman. I have a company that makes industrial fans. We actually make things out of metal and ship them across the country and around the world. I am a manufacturer. I'm going to tell you a story. It lasts about 6 minutes. Then give you a brief review of what your setting here is comprised of, and then give a very brief thought on what I see in the future. About 6 years ago, Mary Jo and I were up in Washington, D.C., visiting with some congressmen and some of the organizations up there, and we decided to go over to the National Archives. We had some free time, and we'd never seen the Constitution and Bill of Rights before. Now, for you that have been there, you know you're walking down this hallway, looking at different displays, and then it opens into this large room. You walk through these big bronze gates into this rotunda, and there are the founding documents on the other side. Declaration of Independence in the middle. Declaration of Independence on the left, 4 pages of the Constitution in the middle, and the Bill of Rights on the right. This is when we learned that these are known as the Charters of Freedom. These are the original documents. Now, one of the things I liked when you got inside the room was you didn't have to wait in line anymore. You just wandered around looking at different displays and exhibits, and when you got a chance, you stepped up and looked at the documents. And I don't know about you, but the first time I saw the Declaration of Independence, something our founding fathers had actually penned, and then saw their signatures, Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Rutledge, Wilson, and the others, I just got goosebumps. And then when I moved over and saw the first page of the United States Constitution and the words, "We the people," I got a lump in my throat. It was really an emotional experience for me. And then we moved over and saw the Bill of Rights. There's something you need to know. What's on display in Washington is not the Bill of Rights. There is no historic document of the Bill of Rights. What's on display are the first 12 proposed amendments. The first 2 were not ratified at the time, only the last 10. These are known as your Bill of Rights. So, Mary Jo likes to read just about everything, and so while she's wandering around reading all the supporting documents, it gave me a chance to step back and just kind of take in the moment. I wanted to remember the feeling I had when I saw these founding documents. And two things occurred to me. First of all, that I'd probably never be there again, because it took me over 60 years to get there the first time. And second, that most people would never see these documents. Even though it's free and open to the public, there's just so much to do up in Washington. All the other monuments, the government buildings, the museums and all, that people just don't get a chance to get over to the National Archives. So when Mary Jo finished, we left. Now, some of you may remember, I ran for U.S. Congress here in the 11th District back in 2012. And I tell people, I never studied so much in all my life as when I was running for Congress. Not in college or in high school. You see, we were sometimes having 2 and 3 debates a week over 17 counties. And you all were asking questions about the environment and the economy and immigration and taxes and the Federal Reserve and the military and foreign governments and on and on. And to me, embarrassment is a tremendous motivator. I did not want to be in front of a group of 150 people and not be able to address a subject for at least 2 minutes. So I studied evenings and weekends. Well, one of the topics, of course, was education. I didn't want to just give a regular answer to what I thought about education, so I did some research and learned that we had 2 founding fathers who were very big on education, Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin. They're the ones that gave us the 3 levels of education. A primary level, to teach our youth how to function in life. And that's where you get reading, writing, and arithmetic. A secondary level, to teach our youth how to survive in the world. And that's where you get into accounting, the living languages, geography, history, and civics. And then the third level, the advanced level, was where you get into the arts, the sciences, the professions, and what's known as the culture of virtue. Well, it's no surprise that these 2 founding fathers were very big on government. After all, they outlined the form for our existing government. They believed that in order to have a free and independent society, you must understand how government works. That you cannot control what you do not understand. Well, after my campaign, or towards the end of my campaign, I remember Mary Jo and I were sitting on the old courthouse green in downtown Burke County, downtown Morganton. And we were at a National Day of Prayer service. And towards the end of the service, the thought came to me, what if I could duplicate the experience I had up in Washington? What if I could bring that experience back to the citizens of Burke County? And I started getting excited about it. And after the service ended, I told Mary Jo about it. And we actually wandered around the courthouse looking at possible sites for a setting of the Charters of Freedom. Well, later that year, after my campaign ended, I started working on a project. And it turned out to be an education project. And the scope of the project was to design and build a replica of the Charters of Freedom as exhibited in Washington, D.C. Put it in a central location in Burke County. It had to have high visibility, high foot traffic, and easy access for school children. Well, even though it was a gift, it took 2 years to get this done. But on July 2nd, 2014, we dedicated the first Charters of Freedom setting outside of Washington, D.C. in downtown Morganton. Now, Mary Jo and I enjoyed this process so much, and it was so well received, that we decided to do another one. And we went over to Murphy. And the second one is sitting in downtown Murphy. That was dedicated on September 17th, Constitution Day of 2014. So at this time, we decided to set up a 501c3 because we wanted to do more. So we set up Foundation Forward. We did the third one in downtown Asheville in Buncombe County. The fourth one, now, as I've told the story, rumors were starting that I was going to run for Congress again because all of these were in western North Carolina. And I really think Mary Jo was starting to get a little bit nervous. So for the fourth one, we decided to go north. And we went up to Jacksonville, Illinois in Morgan County, just outside of Springfield. This is where my wife, Mary Jo, grew up. The fifth one went in Howard County, Indiana, Kokomo, where I went to school back in high school. The sixth one went into Columbia, South Carolina. It was a gift from all the employees of my company to the children and citizens of South Carolina. Since then, we have done 6 others in eastern North Carolina, Kentucky, Indiana, and more here in western North Carolina. Yours is the 13th one to be set. Now, there are 13 colonies, original colonies. Yours is the 13th, and that makes it very special to me. So, way to go. Let me tell you a little about your setting here. As you go through life, you kind of realize that you learn things earlier in life you didn't know you were going to use later on. Back in 1971, when I was in college, I built a white cross in front of the Sigma Chi house in Hanover College. Didn't ask permission to do it, just went out and did it. It's solid, reinforced, poured concrete, stands 5 feet tall. What you don't know is that it goes 4 feet into the ground, solid 4-foot foundation, and there is actually more underground than above ground, which is good because over the years a number of bumpers have been ripped off of cars and trucks from other fraternity houses trying to rip it out of the ground. It is now 46 years old. We saw it just last month and it's standing beautiful. What that taught me was that if you want a setting or a monument to last, you put more underground than above ground. Your setting here, the foundation, goes down to 3.5 feet in the ground. It is solid, reinforced poured concrete. It then comes up and it is a solid, reinforced poured concrete core. Just the foundation and the core of this centerpiece weighs over 38,000 pounds, over 19 tons. It's then, the fascia is then covered with 4 inches of brick and mortar. There are 6 documents displayed here. Each one is on 1/4-inch etched bronze and weighs over 60 pounds. The glass covering it is a 1/2 inch of polycarbonate, treated polycarbonate. It is unbreakable and bulletproof. Please don't try it. There you will see there is an emblem on the front, which is very special. We commissioned some artists around the country to come up with this insignia. The eagle, you'll see, represents the Declaration of Independence. Proud, bold, defiant. There are 7 stars above the eagle, which represent the 7 articles of the U.S. Constitution. There are 10 stars under the eagle, which represent the first 10 amendments. There'll be 2 plaques on the front of the center, which are meant for rubbings, so students can bring a piece of paper, a crayon, or a chalk or something, and do a rubbing and take an imprint of the founders that are from North Carolina, or the words, "We the people." There's a dedication plaque that will be installed later, and there's some information plaque, which talks about the original documents up in Washington. In the back of this center setting is a vault, and in that vault will go a time capsule. In the time capsule will be letters from veterans group, education group, hopefully law enforcement, local government. There'll be one from us, and other suggestions that we'll have. Other memorabilia will go in there. We'll ask the local newspaper to save this week's first page so we can put that in there. It'll then be sealed up and not opened until September 17th, 2087. That'll be Constitution Day, when the country is the Constitution will be 300 years old. One other thing, and this is why we're married 43 years, keeps me out of trouble. There's a sign-up sheet over here for anybody that's attending today. Those pieces of paper are archival paper. Anybody that signs it will have their name read on Constitution Day in 2087. That will also go in the vault. So please sign your name over here. This monument is designed to last 300 to 500 years. Hopefully it will be cared for and it will last that long. Now people are asking us, why are we doing this? Because it is very expensive. And I tell them, it's more important than money. We believe that this gives us a direct link to our founding fathers by helping to preserve what it is they gave this country, a government that is meant to protect and serve we the people. From the beginning, this has been an education project. As I said earlier, our founding fathers believed that in order to have a free and independent society, you must understand how government works. Thomas Jefferson in 1789 said, "Whenever the people are well informed, they can be trusted with their own government. And James Madison, a 5'4" virtual rock star of his era, wrote in 1822, "A people who mean to be their own governors must arm themselves with the power that knowledge gives." You wouldn't believe how many people come up to us when we're building these things and say, "That's the whole Constitution? Just 4 pages?" And we say, "Yes, just 4 pages. All of our government and our laws are based on those 4 pages." You wouldn't believe how many people don't know that the first 10 amendments are our Bill of Rights. I guarantee there are people here that have learned that today. And I say, way to go, because this is an education project. Imagine, and you will see this, school teachers bringing their 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade classes down here on annual field trips to learn a little about our founding documents, our founding fathers, a form of government. And while they're here, they can learn about state and local government and local heroes. Commissioner Joe Belcher in Buncombe County took a group of 5th graders down to Asheville to see their Charters of Freedom. They spent about 2 hours there, and he was amazed at the interest those students took in the documents in our founding fathers. After just 2 hours, those students now know more about our government, our founding fathers, and our founding documents than most people in the United States. Now, you may have noticed throughout my talk here, I've tried not to call this a monument, because it's not a monument. I looked up the definition of a monument. It's a memorial to a person or an event. This is not a memorial. This is an active, hands-on educational supplement to your school's curriculum. We are so in hopes that your teachers will bring the students down here because they love these kinds of field trips. Hands-on, active education. There are 3,142 counties, boroughs, parishes, independent cities, census zones, and the District of Columbia in the United States. Our goal as a foundation is to put settings in as many of those communities as possible over the next 10 years. Our short-term goal is to continue putting these settings in western North Carolina, all across all 100 counties of North Carolina, and the 46 counties of South Carolina, so that people around the country are saying, what is going on in the Carolinas? That will make me proud when I hear that on TV. That's my story and a little of my vision. Again, I am so glad everybody's here today. Thank you. And now will Commissioner Tate, Jim Tate, and Mary Jo please come forward.
I'm a little bit bigger than Tate.
The Charters of Freedom setting, located at 5 West Main Street, Franklin, North Carolina, is hereby gifted from Vance and Mary Jo Patterson of Burke County, North Carolina, to the children and citizens of Macon County, North Carolina. All rights, responsibilities, and care for this setting, displaying the Declaration of Independence, the United States Constitution, and the Bill of Rights, are hereby transferred to Macon County this day, November 11th, 2017.
It's hard to imagine the vision of Vance and Mary Jo Patterson. To have this in Macon County today means a lot of things on this special day. A few things I'd like to point out. Number one is the flags that we have. In God we trust. These documents we're about to unveil have protected the rights of our citizens and Americans for 2.5 centuries. The veterans that we celebrate today, that's the reason they have fought, is to protect what we're about to unveil today and these things we see around us. The white crosses you see are not just symbolic, they're real Maconians who gave all. Whether you go to Arlington Cemetery or wherever you may go, the reason that they're there, the reason the veterans are here today is because of these documents we're about to unveil. So in Macon County, it's a wonderful day. 300 years from now, I don't think I'm going to make it, Vance, you might. But the people who's going to observe, when you see the unveiling, please stay and look and come back. And we do want to have all of our school children here. But at the end of the day, when the board voted on this, there was no quorums, there was no questions. We knew that it would fit Macon County. When you enter our courthouse, when you see "In God We Trust," we think that's a pretty good symbolism of Maconians. So Vance and Mary Jo, we cannot thank you enough for all you've done and what it means for Macon County. So at this time, and let me mention just a couple of other folks who really worked hard on this, and you've heard his name before. It's Commissioner Gary Shields. If Commissioner Shields would please come forward just for a second. When we started looking for a location to place the documents, we kept wondering where would be the right location. We looked across the street, we looked up here, and finally we chose this location along with Vance, and we think it's a perfect location. We think it'll be here from time immemorial, and we appreciate it so much. But this man, I want to tell you, has put it together and has worked very hard. The contractors who laid the brick, the donations that we've received, we appreciate it, but really and truly, Gary Shields deserves a big hand for this today. The plaque presented to us today by Vance and Mary Jo will proudly hang in our boardroom from now on, and we could not be more proud. And Mr. Shields, I'm sure you have a few words.
I just want to say again, thank you very much to Vance and Mary Jo for this time. Also, Command Sergeant Major, he's hiding back here somewhere. I want to say thank you to him and all of his people who helped him. Also, we had a lot of some local people worked here, and it's for Macon County. It's for us. It's for the students of Macon County, and it's for you, and that's what's important. God bless.
So as we're about to do the unveiling, let's remember not only the special day as we celebrate and we thank our veterans, but the history that you're about to observe. It's a very, very special time for Macon County, a very, very special day, and we're so glad that you're here today to have this time with us. So, Mr. Patterson, at this time, we'll do the unveiling. He's got more to read.
Will drummer Reagan Kimsey please come up? We're going to do a salute to the individual articles of the Constitution and then have the unveiling. Article 1 defines the legislative branch, composed of the House of Representatives and Senate. It describes their powers and workings. Article 2 defines the executive branch, the qualifications for president and vice president, their powers, duties, and means of removal from office. Article 3 sets up the judicial branch, the Supreme Court, and the lower court system. It protects the right of trial by jury and defines treason. Article 4 gives the states the right to make and carry out their own laws related to the people and problems of their state, so long as the laws do not conflict with the United States Constitution. Article 5 outlines the process of amending the United States Constitution. Article 6 sets up the United States Constitution.
Thank you so much, Vance. If you would join me in singing this song. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountain to the prairie, to the ocean, white with foam. God bless Thank you. That concludes our presentation. Please stick around and come look at these wonderful documents that are in front of us. Thank you. God bless.
Barbara. I told people. I said, oh my God, my dad.
Okay, thank y'all for watching. I'm going to pan around so you can see all the people that are here. Boy, you spent a lot of money just to hold the camera.
Oh my gosh, I was watching the
Would you
news.
close this out, please? This is Bob Litton,
I've been telling everybody about this
U.S.
little
Navy
lady
veteran.
that exercises her butt.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your service.
I said, I just
And that'll be
couldn't
it.
believe
Thank you all for watching.